Okay, so thank you all for coming today. Today we are going to learn about the Flexbox or Flex architecture. So when I mention Flex, I'm sure this is not the first time we are hearing it, even though we don't know what it does. So can anybody remind me of what you've heard about Flex? In what context did we mention it at all in our previous classes? Ibrahim, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, thank you. And I'm sure Afinawa can also. So we have mentioned this word before, flex, in one of the concepts that we looked at in the past. And then I said that we're gonna pay close attention to the flex later on. So do you guys remember what concept we were talking about when I mentioned the flex?
Was it last week when we were trying to put the image in the middle?
I'm listening, sorry.
The sign that we made?
Actually, last week we mentioned it when we were doing the revisions. You know, I think we started by doing revisions of what we've done. So like what property?
So I think you said is like layout model or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, I said it's a layout model. Yes. And you know, the answer that I wanted was we mentioned it under CSS display. The CSS display property, we said that it takes how many values. So we have the property and the values, right? And you guys can tell the power of the display because it dramatically changes the whole game, right? So it actually takes, I think, 5 or 6 values. And the flex was one of the values that it takes, but we didn't look into it. It's a little surprising that my computer is beginning to slow down. See, I'm clicking on this and look at how long it's taking to load. Okay, so the display properties, you know, one of them is the block, right? Well, this here is also good. So, oh gosh, this is pretty slow. Pretty slow. So do you guys remember the display property?
Yeah, the block inline and inline block.
Inline block, yes. And then we also talked about the none. What does the none do?
It hides it.
It hides the element completely. And then I said that we have these two here, the flex and the grid. And these are advanced display concepts. You can see they are actually values, right? The property itself is what? Display. And then it takes a value of what? Flex. So today we are going to learn the flex, and then but hopefully next week we'll learn the grid, and then that is likely going to be the end of our class. On CSS. Okay, so this is where we saw the flex. That's a good thing, very good refresher. So let's begin today's class by creating the folder that we are going to be working inside. So all of these files, you don't have to be confused by them. They are things we've done in the past. Some of them, we are yet to do them. They have nothing to do with what we are doing. So let me just click on CSS to hide it. And don't worry about any of this. You can act as if they are not even here, right? It's not the code that we are going to write doesn't depend on anything here. So, so we have day 2, day 4, day 5. So I'm gonna add a folder. You click here to add a new folder. We call it CSS Day 6. So I'm gonna go into the folder and I'm gonna add a file in here. So we're gonna call it Flex because we are learning Flex, flex.html. Okay, and then you open it, there's nothing here, it's just empty file. So like we always do, we want to put some code here that we're gonna be using as the demo. But before I do that, let me lay some foundation. So Global Tech Mastery, we are putting some tutorials over here. This site is incomplete, but the tutorial on Flexbox is pretty complete. So we're gonna use this as the notes. We're gonna go through this as as the notes. So here I have some text descriptions of the concepts, and then over here I have images because everybody learns differently. So actually this is not, I need to be in this section. 1 second, please. I need to be in this section, and then Flex tutorial with images. So let's see what we got here. I just want to lay some foundations, okay? So the whole concept of display, as we know, it's all about elements on the page, where they go and all of that stuff. So we always remember the parent-children architecture, right? Parent-children architecture, like you have some divs, maybe you have 4 divs, and then you put them in a bigger div, right? So the bigger div is gonna act as a parent to all the divs that are inside it. Let me give an example here. So in case we have something like this, this is the boilerplate. I have to say that we don't need any of this. I don't want it to confuse people, so I'm gonna take them away. So this is the body section of the HTML document. So we have a div like this. We can give this div a class of container. And then inside this div, we can put as many divs as we want, say, and this is a child, right? Child 1. And then because it's a child, because what? It is inside this bigger container, right?
Mm-hmm.
This bigger container, we call it parent container, and it's a parent to all the divs inside it. All the divs inside it. There could be as many divs as we want. So child 1, 2, 3, and 4. So according to this div over here, what are these divs? These are the siblings, right? They are siblings to this div. So all of them are at the same level in the container. So we know how this structure comes about, and it's very useful because you always want to put your divs inside a bigger div so that you can control them. If you do this, it allows you to control them, give some colors to you. This allows you to give common properties to other divs inside it, right? Because they all share one thing in common through the parent. They have one parent. So if you set the text of this parent to any color, then it will bind on all of this, right? So let's see what this one is going to look like on the UI. Yeah, very simple structure here. So the concept of Flex is this. If you have any structure like this, and you set the display property of the bigger div to Flex. If you say that the display property of this div is Flex, then this whole thing becomes a Flex container. It becomes a Flex container, and then a whole lot of properties become available for you that you can use to manipulate the container. So you think of the whole thing as a flex container, right? So all that you want is a structure like this, and then you set the display of the parent to flex, and then all the properties that we are going to look at will become available to you, and then you can use them. So so once you set the parent, you call this one flex container. You set the display property of the parent to flex. Everything inside it becomes, every item inside this becomes a flex item. So that is the name we give to it, flex item. So here we have 4 flex items over there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there are some things that we need to understand, you know, some labels. So you can see if you go the horizontal direction this way, there is an axis. We call this one the main axis, the horizontal direction. Then if you want to go vertical direction in the middle, we call it a cross axis. Cross axis. So this one here looks familiar, right? Just draw 4 quadrants like this. What other name can we give to this main axis in mathematics? You guys, if you remember geometry, XY coordinate system, right? XY coordinate system. So this is the x-axis.
X-axis.
Right? And then this is the y-axis.
Y-axis.
Yes. So when as soon as you get a flex container, you have to begin to think in the context of XY plane. There is a main axis and there is a cross axis. And so whatever property we use, either the property is doing something along the main axis or is doing something along the cross axis. Okay. So that is the concept. I just want you guys to know that you have a parent div over here, which is this whole section. And then you are setting the display of that parent to flex. As soon as you do that, the divs inside it, here there are 3 of them. Each of them becomes a flex item. And then there is this idea of x-axis, and then the y-axis happening, right? I just want us to have that idea in mind. Let's you know, because we're going to be working here, let's design this to make it look a little similar to this one here. So, you know, we can put our CSS code here, or we can also put it in an external file. I probably will put it here for now. Then just put it here for now. So all I'm saying is that we want to set the display property of this parent container. We get is a class, so you select it this way, dot container. So all you have to say is that display property, we are setting it to flex. Sorry. Flex. Now, if we go back to the UI and see, now this is what we have now, okay? And actually, you don't really see this much. Let's give this some classes also. Just give them a name so that we can reference them. I'll call this box 1. You know, we give elements names so that we can reference them and then add colors to them. Okay. 1 second. Oh gosh, sorry. So what I see, Control Z, Control Shift Z. I'm going back. So I'm just gonna copy this, and then I'll paste it in here. And of course, it has to put 1 space and then paste it. Put 1 space and paste it. They all can't have the same name. They can have the same name, but that's not the point I want to achieve here. I want to just call it, give them unique names. And I can also give them a common name in case I want to reference all of them. So give them one unique name. Okay, let's save this. So I mean, you guys know that I'm gonna take this out for now. I'm gonna take this out so that nothing really changes. If you refresh the page, everything is still the same. Let's give some height and width to this these children so that we can see them. So I want this whatever I'm gonna give them will bind on all the 4 of them. So I'm just gonna use the box property. We'll set the height to say 50 pixels. It's probably too big. Then width of I want it to be a box, so a square box. The good thing about computers, once you make mistakes, it tells you. So now let's just refresh that. Yeah, they are spaced out. Let's add some borders. Border of say 2 pixels and 2 pixel solid, and then color of tomato. Can you imagine tomato color? Okay, and then let's see them. They look like this. Do you guys want to add a margin? You know, these are things you all know how to do, very simple stuff, but very profound, right? In CSS, nothing is really simple. Everything is powerful. They all work together, right? Just add some margin here. Okay, so you can see the way the behavior is happening, right? You guys can justify because the div has a display of what block. So it's always gonna take the whole space that is given to it. So this kind of makes sense. Let's now bring the container back, which is the parent. For now, I just want to show the border here. What color do we want to give it? So black is okay. So if you just want to give it a black color, don't specify it. Okay, so, and I'm gonna take the display away. If I take this display away, what is the default display property of the parent container? Like if I don't set the display right now, what is the value for the display? It is a div. So divs are always block display, right? So it's a block displayed, it's gonna take the whole screen. So we need to really learn these concepts, okay? I know you guys, you haven't had a chance to do a lot of practice, so but you need to try to learn the concepts so that they can stick. So right now, this is what we have, okay? So I'm gonna change the display property from block to flex. Now let's see what will suddenly happen. So the flex is what we are learning today. So we are using it here. This is how you open the door for flex to start working. So as soon as I do that, suddenly we have this. Suddenly we have this. And then because we did this, everything in here has become a flex item. And if it is a flex item, then there are properties that you can use on flex items. And then this also is a flex container. So there are things you can do on the flex container. The properties we are going to look at, these properties I've listed here. The only way you can use them is when you set the display property of the parent container to flex, and then you can start using them. Is that understandable?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So there is another relationship that you should remember. There is the parent relationship, and then there is the child, which we just talked about. So in this case, because we set the parent, we call it a flex container. The children are what? Flex items. I just said it, but I'm just saying it in a different way also. So the main point here also is some of the properties that we are going to look at, you set them at the parent level. Do you guys think I should call this parent instead of container? Container looks good. It's a flex container, right? So some of the properties, you can only set them at the parent level, and then you see them doing magic for you. Some of them, you can only set them at the flex item level, and then they will also do magic for you, right? So actually there are 10 properties that we are going to learn. One of them is the flex. The other 9 of them, they all work along with the flex. And about 6 of them you do at the container level, and then the other 4 you do at the flex item level, okay? And also, people like to think of the flex as a plan, architecture, right? The plan of a house. If you want to build a house, you know the building plan, the plan that people have. You build the house according to the plan. So the plan divides the house into different spaces, right? The kitchen, the living room, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and all. So the plan, if you want to have a plan for your page, your web page, you want to have a high-level plan. The way you do,
like a blueprint?
like a blueprint, exactly like that. So, you know, the way you space out things on the web page, there are 2 ways of doing it, either using the flex or the grid. This is so powerful that it allows you to get a lot of things done with a very little code, very little code, okay? So this is the magic, actually, of CSS, the way I understand it. This is the magic of CSS. It's not just the flex only. The other one is the grid. The grid and the flex are the same. It's just a small difference. And so that's that. So let's begin to look at the properties of the flex. We will look at it from here. The first line here, display flex. This is what we just did, right? So this allows you to set flex properties on the children element. So we just did the first one. The second one that we are going to do is called justify content. So justify content is a parent level property. See how many properties? We have about only 10. The flex is one of them, but the next one is justify content. Let's see what the justify content does. And look at the way they defined it. It allows you to distribute flex items along the main axis of the container. It allows you to distribute the flex items along the main axis of the flex container. Now, what does that even mean, right? Let's bring this. You see, now this is a flex container, as you can see, but if you are going horizontally, that is the main axis, right? And if you want to do anything vertical, then that is the cross axis. So all the properties we are looking, either you are doing something along the y-axis, which is the cross axis, or you're doing something along the x-axis or the main axis, okay? So let's always remember that. So I want us to see the justify content in action. I'm gonna create a new file just for this. So I'll just copy this, and then I'll try to see if I can paste it like this. Oh gosh, sometimes, okay, so we can paste it in there like this. Let's change this. I'm gonna change the name to flex. What is the name? Justify content. Justify content. This is a justify content property. Everything here can stay the same. We just have to, it's a parent level property. So you come here, you say justify content. Oh, sorry, justify content. So what values does it take, right? We have to also understand the values. Remember, this is a property. It's a whole these are whole properties. So what values does it take? There are 6 values that you can have: the flex start, flex end, flex center, baseline, and the stretch. No, sorry. So this is the justify content. The values that it can take, these are the values. And this is what the values do, right? So let me put this here so we can kind of investigate. So we specify the property. They are saying that if we use the flex start, we give it a value of flex start. Items are going to be aligned at the start of the container. So start of the container, this is the start of the container here, because we are going along the main axis. And then the flex end of the container, this side is considered the end of the container. So flex end, that's the property. Then the center, that is the flex center. I mean, you don't say flex center, you just say center. So if we set the justify content to a value of center, all the flex items, all of them, they move together. They're gonna be put in the center of the container, the flex container, right? And what other values, other values are there? Remember, these are values. So start and center, and then space between. Space between means that you want to evenly distribute the items among the space that you have available. Right now, our flex container, look at the size of the flex container, all of this, right? But look at where the items are. They are at the very beginning. If you use the space between, it's going to distribute this item evenly across the whole space, the entire space, right? But it's going to put some spaces between them so that it will fill the whole space. This, you become very familiar and comfortable with them as you keep using them, okay? So the space around also will do some, it will distribute the items evenly within the container, but let's see them in action. So the first thing I want to do is to use the start. This is the flex start. Let's view in browser. So this is what we get for the start. It looks like that is the default behavior. So the next property is end, flex end. No, the next value. We just want to experiment with all the values and see what they do. So that if you, based on the behavior that you want, you may want to use one or the other. You see? Because we specify the flex end, this is what it does. It will move all the items to the end of the container. If you have a firm understanding of these concepts, then when you're designing the front end of the page, you're gonna do it in style, right? Because you will be very confident and do things with confidence. But you know you're doing it with understanding. You're not just doing trial and error of things. So that's the end, flex end. Let's use the center. Let's see what the center does. Center, we'll put them in the middle of the container. Okay, what is the other? We have the space between. Let's see space between. I love the space between. I love the space between. Let's see what that does. See. So it will evenly space out the items for you. Remember, these items, they're going to contain a lot of information. So essentially, it's going to be very big. They're going to be big. So
now we don't have to guess the margins.
Now you can still do the margins, but it looks like the space between has done the margins for you.
Right.
Yeah, and it has done it very evenly for you. Yep. And the last property, the last value is the space around. Let's see what the space around is doing. It's, just remember the behavior, right? This one doesn't leave any space here, but it's equal spaces between this. Now let's see the space around. Space around. Okay. This is what the space around does. Sometimes you want this behavior, do you guys think we should make this pretty big? The flex items, we can make them big, but it doesn't matter because eventually we're going to put a lot of things in there. It's going to become a big stuff. I mean, let me show you the USCIS place status. We did some work here, so we did some exercise over here. So when we did this, you can consider one div as this whole thing. Okay. So each of the flex item, this can easily be a flex item. In fact, they were using flex here. So yeah. So this you can see there's equal spaces between this and that. Actually, I think they are using grade for this one. I don't think they are using flex, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay. It's just by the way. So guys, that is all about the justify content. Justify content, right? There is a flex container. There are contents in it. The way you want them to look. You have, if you want this behavior, you just know what to do. They are not that hard to remember. But now let's look at align items. But before we do align items, I want us to look at another thing called the wrap, the flex wrap. This is very important. So let's look at that first. Flex wrap. So I'm going to copy this and paste it. Remember there are 10 properties. So we want to see all of them in action. So rename these to flex wrap. Okay, so we don't need this. We just want to do the wrap. We want to understand what a flex wrap does. Flex wrap. So it's one property here, and it takes how many values? So flex wrap takes only 3 values: no wrap, wrap, and then wrap reverse. So what this does is that assuming you have a lot of the flex, you have a lot of items in this container. Do you want, if the container is full, do you want some of the items to go to the next line? If you want that to happen, then you say yes. You say wrap. Wrap, you put wrap here. That means when the container is full, the items will move to the next line in the container. If you say no wrap, then it's going to squeeze itself to fit all the items within it. Like it's just going to squeeze itself. It's going to squeeze all these items until everything fits. So we want to demonstrate that. To make the demonstration easy, I'm going to set the width of this container. I'm going to make it smaller so that this container will not fit in there. I mean, these items won't fit in there so that we can see. So if I want to set the width of my parent container, let me just make it, say, 200 pixels. Let's see what this is. This becomes, there will be an error here because I have written something that I didn't finish. So save. 1 second. Let's see why it's not. So width, they are not letting me set the width of the parent container. That would be strange. Width 200 pixels. Oh, sorry. Guys, do you know what is happening? See, I did some change in this file, and I was expecting my change to show up over here. Do you guys know why my change didn't show up? Can you tell the reason? So I've made changes in this document. Look at the name of the document. And then I'm just refreshing this page here.
Oh, it's just a
Is this document the same as this document?
No.
Yeah, so if I make changes here, will it show up here?
No.
Yeah, it will not. So that was the problem. Let me just remove some of the old files. And so we have to view in browser first. So when there is a problem, your ability to understand the problem is crucial, okay? No matter how little. So I just made the width to be 200 pixels. So now it's very, very small. And let me also add more boxes in it, more flex items. Remember, you can add as many flex items in here as you want. I want to increase, because the whole idea of wrap is that you see the space is too small for the items in it. So right now you can even see it is starting to squeeze the items. That is why the one has gone down. Let me just add a little bit more room so we can see what we are doing. I increase the width, and also I'm adding more items in here. Yeah, right now you can see they are even overflowing. Okay, so this is a very nasty behavior. Okay, let's also set the height, because we're gonna need them to move to the next line, and there is no next line in the parent container. So the parent is too small. So let's just set the height to also 200 pixels, about 200 pixels is fine. So we have this. I wasn't expecting this to jump up like that, but let's see. Let's just set the flex wrap and see what happens. Sorry. Let's see what the flex wrap can do for us. If I say no wrap, no wrap is one of the values. It means don't wrap. So let's see. I'm gonna save this. Let's see. So this is the no wrap. It's going overflowing. I wasn't expecting this to overflow at all. I was expecting it to squeeze itself within the container, but it's a problem that we'll have to look into why that's happening. But let's set it to wrap. Wrap means that move to the next line. So let's see if that works. Okay, so the wrap is working. It's moving down here. It's moving down here. Right, instead of letting it keep going, the wrap is moving down here. Okay. What about wrap reverse? Wrap reverse is the other value, the last value left that it can take. So let me just make sure that these names are unique. This is should be 5, should be 6, should be 7, should be 8. So that they will have, every box in there will have its own name, right? So wow, guys, let me remove this. I'm going back to the wrap first. Let's see what it does. You can see the flex item 8 here. Flex item 8 is the last one, right? It goes in this order. See, the order is like that. Let's just make these flex items instead of child, because let's give it the proper names. Flex item. Flex item. So these are just cosmetics, you know, I don't want to confuse you guys. So guys, the flex is actually a force to reckon with. It makes our life very easy, but we just have to understand it. We need to understand what properties are available to us when we are manipulating the flex container. As you know, that is the whole blueprint of the page. It will control everything on the page, pretty much. So let's save this and let's see. You can see, let's also increase the width a little bit so that things will fit. Make this like 80 pixels. And make this 80 pixels. I'm just adjusting the sizes of things. Let's see, 80 pixels, okay. 80 pixels is good enough. And for our parent container, yeah, again, there is this problem, which we are going to understand why that's happening. But first of all, let me just increase the height a little bit, the height of the container, so that things will stay in. So there's one problem that I've seen. We're gonna fix it, guys. Okay, so now this is what we have in our demonstration. Your attention should be on the flex wrap, right? You just set the display to flex, and then you are using the flex wrap property so that if things don't fit in the container, you want them to move down to the next line. So let's see if we do the wrap reverse, which is the third value. So the item at the bottom here has come to the top. So flex reverse is like you're doing it in the reverse direction. I don't think you're ever gonna need it, but in case we do, you know that I'm gonna just close some of these things to stay organized. I would leave this open though, over here. Oh gosh, I have a lot of pages opened. Okay, I'll just leave them alone. So the item 8 is coming to the front, and then 7, 6. Look at the arrangement of the boxes. In case you ever want that behavior, I don't, you can do that. Just reversing the wrap, starting from the bottom to the front. So you most likely you don't need it. Mostly you just want this one, so that you start from the first to the last. So now, guys, let me go to the no wrap, and then you tell me why this behavior is happening. So no wrap is the value. If you don't set the wrap, look at what happens. Well, it's starting to squeeze itself in the container, which is good. Like it's starting to really squeeze itself in there. But no matter how much it tried, we still have some overflow. If we don't want this overflow to happen, then I'm thinking that, why do you think that we have this overflow happening? You see, the width and all of that, and then it's going outside the boundaries of the parent. In case we don't want this to ever happen, what do you think we should do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's make it even 10, so that our job will be easier. So we are using pixels to set. We are using pixels to set the width, right? In case we use %, right? Then it's going to take a percentage of the parent's size. So if we do the math correctly, then this overflow will never happen, right? Let me just make this say 9. I will demonstrate what I mean. 9 and 10. That is why you have to be careful when you're using absolute units, right? Which is the pixels. It's gonna always kind of give you that. So I added 2 more items to it. I'm gonna make the width 10%. So 10%. Oh gosh, what's happening? Okay, 10%. So there are 10 of them. If I give each of them 10% of the parent's size, what do we get? Say, it still didn't change. Okay, 10% of the parents. Oh, okay. So what is the size of the parent? The parent's width, the width of the parents is 300. So 10% of this is about 30.
30.
So 30 pixels. Why is it overflowing? It's a little strange. Okay, this is a little strange. 1 second. With 10%. It looks like the percent didn't even materialize. 1 second. Let me make this 400 and see what happens. Just a little experiment, okay? I know that is not a point at all. What we are doing, this is just a problem we are facing now, and we just want to experiment if there is a way to fix it in the context of what we know so far. Even if we don't fix it, we want to be able to understand it. So 10% of the parents' width, and we have 10 items in here. So this one should not overflow. Should not overflow. Okay. Let me change the percentage to 30 pixels and see what happens. 30 pixels. And that is still overflowing. That's crazy. This is interesting. I'm gonna look into this, guys. The reason why we have this behavior. I needed everything to still stay in here, and there's just squeeze itself, but it's going overboard. If you have the no wrap, maybe that is a normal behavior, but it's a little new to me. Because see, this one has a weight of 300 pixels, and every item in here, I'm giving it a weight of 30 pixels, and there are 10 of them. So they should force themselves in here. They have to fit in there. But surprisingly, they are not. Let me try to, I'm gonna try one last thing, guys. Let me just say, I'm gonna use give it like 20 REM here. And the height, let me make the height also the same, 20 REM. And then let's make this 10%. Just want to see if that would work. And then so a little experiment here. Say 20. Sometimes there is something little that we are missing. Still didn't change much. So my understanding is that the width and the height, I think they behave in a very strange way when you are dealing with this with a flex container. So I'll look into this and let you guys know why. Okay, why they are not forcing themselves in there. It doesn't make sense. Let me say. See, I keep saying I'll move on, but I don't move on, right? I'm still. Actually, this is 16 pixels, so let me say 1.6. So 2 IRM. So I'm gonna do something small there. Yeah, it's still not helping. They are not changing anything. Okay, we'll come back to it. So guys, you see what the wrap is doing. If there is an overflow like this, but we are set this width that we are setting is a fixed width. It's not a percentage. Let me use percentages here too, guys. The root EM, we know this is the size of the default size, font size that we have on the page. It's about 16 pixels, and then you're doing 20% of that. So let me just use percentage now and see. Let's just say 50%. 50% of what? Of the roots. It's still, percentage is still kind of absolute in a way, but also make this. So I'm not trying to leave this, guys. Let me see what we get. So 50%, 20%. Okay. So let's make this 50% also. Oh gosh. The computer has got a mind of its own. I'm sorry for distracting you guys. But you know, debugging is definitely part of software development. If there is a problem, your ability to try to get to the bottom of it is what really makes you a good software developer. There is always going to be problems like this. But so look, it looks like the height is not changing. Let's see why. If I use the percentages, the height is not changing. It's even a bigger problem, right? Why is the height not changing? But one thing is for sure though, this is fitting in there. Let me see, maybe it's wrap. Let's see what happens. Is it gonna wrap now? But increase, I'm gonna increase this width and see 4. See if it will overflow now. Okay. Okay, so I see something happening. Interesting. Okay, so making no wrap now. Let's see. So suddenly I think it's working now. So the container, I think it's a very bad idea to make it an absolute unit. You know, absolute unit, what that is, right? It's a fixed unit and it stays like that no matter what. So if you are using the pixels, it's a fixed unit. But I changed it into a relative unit. So 50% is it's taking 50% of the screen size. So you see, it's kind of dynamic. It's not fixed. But if you go too low like this, then that's a different story. But so this is, see, it's taking 50% of the weight of the screen. So right now, honestly speaking, these flex containers, they are still, the units are absolute. So if you give it an absolute unit, then it's gonna stick out. I need to still give it relative units so that it will also flow with the container. So I'm gonna see. Let me give this absolute units. This is not absolute. Let me make it percent. And I'm gonna go back to the 10% of the parent size and see if that works. See if this works now. 1 second. So 10% of the parent's width works, but it looks like the content, this is how low the contents can go. So let me reduce, I'm just experimenting. 1 second, let me do something like this. Okay, I want to do something and see, just try to see what's happening here. Save and see if this can go down. So can you guys see what is happening? So the content of the div, the size of the content was bigger than the size of the container itself. So once you do designs like that, then you don't have to expect a normal behavior from the UI, right? You're gonna have a very bad behavior from the UI if you do that, because like right now, look, what is the content of this div? It's just this number 1, and this content also has a dimension, right? It has a dimension. So if you put something long over here, and then you're giving it a very smaller dimension, so you put something that is of dimension 20 pixels, and then you are forcing it to be a dimension of 10 pixels, then the behavior you want is not going to happen because the content itself is bigger than the box. So it's an abnormal behavior. So now you can see that the absoluteness of the weight is actually we can see that it's just 10% of whatever the size of the parent container is. Parent container is 50% of the whole screen. So as the the screen is getting bigger, parent container is getting bigger. And as parent container is getting bigger, the size of the flex items is also getting bigger, you see. So that is relative units. This is what relative units do. Of course, if it's getting smaller too, they all kind of increase or decrease in the same order, So guys, this has nothing to do with the flex, but it has everything to do with what we've already learned in the past. So I'm just going back. I'll leave the flex items here. And this is what we have. If you have the no wrap, it will just squeeze itself like this. But if you have the wrap, then it will try to give itself enough room. That it knows. Okay. So actually, you can see that now there's another problem that I want you guys to think with me. If I want to increase this size, currently we have 10 items, and each of them is taking 10% of what? The space. 10% of the space. Okay. If I want to say reduce the number of items on the first line, all I have to do is to keep increasing the weight of these containers so that they don't fit on the line and they will just move down. So let me just make this 30%, increase the weight of the boxes to 30. And you see a lot of them are moving down now. We can make this slightly bigger, and then more of it will move up. So 30 pixels, 30%, 30%. So it's about 90% of the space. Oh, also, we were having difficulties because we have this margin set. So the margin is taking some of the space also, right? So we have to, let's make the margin 1%. The margin is taking some of the space. So that was causing the thing to behave abnormally also. So 30% each, But guys, now you can see, this is the beauty of the wrap. If you have many items, it allows you to control how many items are staying here based on whatever the weight that you are setting, the weight for the boxes. So guys, if it's complicated, forgive me. Okay, let's go back to our topic. So we've seen the wrap. It only takes 3 values. We just experimented with it. So the next thing I want us to look at is called the justify content. I didn't put that here, but I have it here. The justify content. Also, we're also skipping the flex direction, but it's okay. Let's do the justify, the align content. So we did justify content, and it's aligning the items horizontally, right, along the main axis. Now, align content is the opposite of that. Align content is aligning the items along the cross axis. See, it's aligning them along the cross axis, the y-axis, right? So can you guys see the difference? This one is doing it along the horizontal axis. Like if you are spacing them, it's going to space them along the horizontal axis. But the align items, everything is done on the vertical axis, which is the y-axis, okay? So if you're spacing them, look at the way the spacing is happening. It's going the vertical direction. Everything is going the vertical direction. If you put it at the start of the container, it's going to be at the top. If you put it at the end of the container, it's going to be at the bottom. Then center will be in the middle, and then space between, space around. So let's just quickly demonstrate that. I want us to continue working with the last file that we created. So I'll just copy and paste it. So you just have to know that once you are dealing with the Flex container, you have all these properties available. You want to know how they behave so that if you need them, you can use them. That's all. That's the whole point. So I'm just showing you guys how to use them. Content. And tomorrow we'll probably, if we don't get to it today, tomorrow we're going to use the concept that we are learning today to build this site, this thing. And we're going to do it very, very quick. You'll see how we're going to do this tomorrow. I don't think we have time today to get to it, but everything here is put in a Flex container, even the footer of the page. And you guys will see how this is done very, very fast with a very small amount of code, right? Because we are using the Flex. Okay. That's just by the way. So align content. Let me take out some of this. So there is something that is tricky. I wish you guys can tell me, okay? Look at the way the align content is working. The align content, you see the way it's working? The assumption, what behavior, what Flex behavior do you think we have on this container? So think of this whole thing as one container, right? One Flex container. You know, I have actually put 6 containers here. They all have different behaviors. But look at these boxes. Do you think the boxes are wrapping or not? Is these boxes, the Flex items, are they wrapping in this container?
Yes.
Yes, they are wrapping. Thank you, Ivana. So they are wrapping. So in case they were not wrapping, what do you think would happen? It will just squeeze itself in there, right? So this is the demo that we are doing. Let me set this to no wrap, which we just did. We're gonna turn this one into the justify content. So it's gonna keep going straight like that. If we want to use the align content, we want to align the content along the y-axis. It's not going to work if there is no wrap. You set this to no wrap, and it's not going to work because what are you aligning, right? Everything is on one line. It's just one horizontal line. So you cannot, if you want to say, in case you want to space out the items along the y-axis, it's not possible. It's not possible because everything is on one line, right? If the things are wrapping like this, then you can space them. You can say, oh, let me put spaces between them vertically, right? Let me separate them this way. So the only way we can actually use this align content is if we set the wrap property to wrap. We make the items wrap in the container. In that case, then we can put spaces between them vertically, right? I don't know if you understand, you guys get my point. See, this one is just one line, so there is nothing to space out vertical, right? They are just next to each other along the main axis, right? So if you want to use this, you have to make sure that you set the wrap property first. So let's do that, which we just did. And now we have this behavior. And now we can use the align content to space out the items vertically. So just say align content. That's the key thing. If you want to use align content, the trick is that you have to make sure that the wrap is on. Now, what values does it take? It takes about the same values as the align content, about the same. So flex, start, and center, space between, space around, and stretch. It takes pretty much the same values, but it has a new one. There's an extra value that it can take. So let's just do the flex center, flex start. I'll show you all of them. Let's start. If you are practicing at home, you can just, So this is actually the start, right? The default behavior. Let's do the end. I'm a little bit worried that the height is not, the height is there, but it's kind of dynamic. It's dynamically being set. I wanted the height to be absolute so that we see the whole space. Of course, I might have to make it absolute. I might have to. Yeah, so let me make the height absolute so I can see the size. Let me make it say 400 pixels. Because I'm a little surprised that the percentage is not, we don't see it, the percentage. Yeah. So let me make it bigger. Let me make it say say 450 pixels. Just make it bigger. Okay. And you can see the height is also 20% of this. So it's kind of increasing with whatever dimension that I set. So let me make this height say 10 to see if it will be smaller. Yeah, so they are pretty small now. So in this case, it will be easier for us to see what we are doing. Okay. So wrap is set, flex end is putting all the contents to the bottom of the container. Okay, so let me show you the start now. If you use the flex start value, then they will all move to the top. So you're gonna use this to do a massive design on a website page, right? So just understanding the tools that are available to you that you can use. Okay, so the next property I remember is the center. So just, and the next value, sorry, not the property. Next value, so it will put it in the center of the page. So let's go back and see the other values. We just did this. So now the space between, guys, is doing the same thing that the justify content is doing, but along the vertical axis. Let's not forget that, okay? Space between. Okay, space between. So what is the space between going to do? Gonna put equal spaces between the items, right? It's gonna evenly distribute them on the page and put equal spaces between them. You know, you don't need to always remember this, right? You can always look it up. But the good thing is, if you Google the code and then you see them using space between, you're gonna have an idea of what they are trying to do, right? Just understand the code. Because mostly if you don't understand the code, you cannot really change anything, right? So that is what the space between is doing. What is the next one? The next property, space around. I should have just demonstrated a few, and then if you guys get a chance and you are watching the video, you can choose to practice them as much as you want. The space around, this is not the place I'm supposed to be here. And exactly as you expect, these are the same, and then this is half the size of this, and then this is also half the size of this. But the way this works is that I'll leave half space over here and then evenly space out everything else, and then put half space over here. Because in a way, like this comes back to the beginning, so to speak. If you add this little space here to this little space, it will be the same as that, you know, just a concept, right? Kind of different way of looking at things. So the last one is the stretch. Let's see what a stretch will do. Let's stretch. Let's stretch it. Another value. Sometimes you just want that behavior. So oh, this is now what I'm supposed to refresh. Okay, this is not the page. I'm supposed to move here, but sometimes, you know, so the stretch is, this is the behavior of the stretch. Starts from here, just, and then keep spacing out. Oh, you can see the stretch. The half space that was up here has been put at the bottom here. So this is actually evenly spaced out, even the end also. So that's the stretch, how the stretch works. Let me remove the last item and see. Just try to investigate this. I just want to remove the last item. Let's see. And yeah, it was still what, see, as soon as I took out the last item, the stretch is still evenly spacing out the items in the container. In this fashion, you can see it's a different behavior. You guys can see some difference, right? Okay. Now, let me see if this page is active. So we have covered 3 of the properties of Flex Container. Now, let's cover the next one. I'm going to go through them very fast because we just have to know them. Then tomorrow we're going to start using them. So the next one I want to cover is the Flex Direction. Flex Direction. So because we've done this, at this point, I'm going to show you how to center this flex item. I want to show you how to center the elements in these boxes. So even this box also, you can set a display property of flex on this item. The items can also have a display property of a flex. So you can check the display here. Display property of flex. So once we do, anything inside it is going to be like a flex item also. And we just want to center it. So we're going to use justify content. What does the justify content do? It's going to align this along the main axis. So this is the line here. The main axis, if I set this to center, I just want to show you a trick, okay? Center is going to put this in the center of this line. Let me show that. You can see the content is now put in the center along the main axis. And I want to center this within the box. So what else do I need to do? I want to use the align content to put it in the middle. Or I think we can use the align item. So let's see let's see align item. If it is the align item, then we are here to look at it. Let's see. 1 second. Let me see if align item would work. We haven't done it. Okay, so the align item is what we need. Sorry, guys. So to be able to center something, right, a content, if you want to be able to center the content of an element within the element like this, guys, we need a flex. We need that flex. Otherwise, it is you can still do it. You can set top margin, bottom margin, and all of that, but the flex does it very beautifully. So let's look at what this align items does. So we just, we're gonna leave this as it is because it's not changing anything. We are making this flex items. We are making all of them flex containers also. So, in order to be able to center it. Okay, so now let's look at the next property. At the parent level, the next I wanted us to look, well, it looks like it's better to look at the align items now that we are here. Before we do the flex direction. So let's do the align items. Again, this is a container level property. What does it do? Align items. Do I have that here? Align items. Align items. Yes, I have that here. Just make it a little bigger. So this allows you to specify how to align the items along the cross axis. So alignment, when we talk about alignment, you are talking about, where do you want to place the items? You want to place it in the middle, the end, and stuff like that. It's very, very close to it's close in meaning to the aligned content that we looked at, but it's different. This one, you don't have to set any wrap around it. You don't need any wrap property. like what we just did. We centered the content in the middle of the page, right? So let's see how this works, okay? Let's just see how it works. Let's remove this and say align items. What is the first property that it takes? The start, the first value, sorry. Let's start. Remember, you're gonna use only one of these values at a time, right? So if we do this, oh, I should have created a new file for this. So let me go back. Go back here. Okay, so I'll save this. If you guys want this code, I can make it available, but you can also create it yourselves, you know. So I pasted in here. I'm gonna rename this to align items. Okay, and then go there, here. And we just change what we need to change. Let's just change this align items. And let's set the value to the first value. Let's start. So I'm gonna make this pretty small so that they will fit on one line. It's easier to see it that way than so we save this. Now let's view this in browser. So this is what we have. So the alignment is happening at the start of the page. Why this big space here? Let me make it 3 items so we can easily see what we are doing. It's hard to see it. I want them to be on one line. Oh, we can just set no wrap also. Set no wrap, or we can remove the wrap altogether. We have choices. So I'm making no wrap, so it's not wrapping. So at the start of the page, everything is happening horizontally, okay? Alignment horizontally. So now let's use the end, flex end, and let's see what this does. It's putting it at the bottom. So again, this is very similar to the align content, but that's different because you see, we don't even need the wrap here. That's one of the difference. We don't need it, and it's still working for us. But if you want to do align content, you need a wrap. So now, what is the other value? The other value is center. You know, so alignment, you want to center something, you think of alignment. That is the key word. Alignment. Center. Save. And then let's refresh. Oh, not this one. I have to refresh this one. So easy to make that mistake, right? So it puts it in the center. What other value does it take? It takes 2 more values, stretch and then the baseline. Let me demonstrate the baseline first. So to be able to see the baseline behavior, I will have to do some modification to the code. So let me show you the baseline first, then I'll explain what that does. Baseline. Okay. See, my computer is a little bit slow now, but we will make it, guys. We just have 10 properties to look at. I think we are on the 4th or the 5th. We've solved some of the complicated problems. So now we're gonna just speed through them, you know. So the baseline, this is the baseline property, but you guys don't see anything happening. The way the baseline works is that it's going to make sure that the content of the items are all in the same line. They're all on the same line. So let me just increase some of the height and the width so that it forces these items to be on different lines. Let me remove this for now. And then see, if I want to, this is a question for you guys. I expect you to be able to answer this, okay? I want to increase the height of item 4. How am I going to do it? So this is item number 4. I want to increase the height of this. I want this to be longer than the others. How am I going to do it?
You will use the class name to style it.
So what is the
So
class name?
the class name is box 4.
Thank you. That's powerful. Box 4. And what do I put in here?
You put in the height.
The height property, and I want to make it bigger than this one. So what number do you think I should use?
You can use
Any
Okay.
number bigger than 10%, right? But this,
30.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I'll say
You can try.
30%. Okay. That was a good one. Thank you. So now let's refresh and see if that works. And it does. Okay. So right now, I'm going to set the baseline property. Because of the baseline property, it's going to force these lines to move down so that the contents will be on the same line. So just do that alignment. We are demonstrating the align items property. So see, you see what happens? And now I want to increase the height of this item to be bigger than everything here. How am I going to do it? Flex item 2, I want to increase the height. How am I going to do it? Same way, right? I want you to tell me. I just want to increase the height of this item.
Dot box 2.
Okay. Then
Height. Let's do 50.
okay, 50%. Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Okay. And we save that. And you see, it's forcing this also to move down so that the text, the content is always on the same line. So that is the baseline property, okay? Okay, so the last one that is left is stretch. The stretch. Let's see how the stretch works. I'm gonna leave things as they are. Stretch. I mean, you know, you guys could do this experiment at home too, but you shouldn't worry too much. Well, once we start using it and you see the way I use it, I think that you're gonna admire it. We're gonna use it to build this in a very small, very few lines of code. You'll be shocked. And you know, most companies everywhere, they just keep using this, right? So the stretch just begins here and you know, take as much space as they can. So that is the alignment, my friends. That is the alignment. Yeah. So if you look at what I did to center the content of the boxes, I set the display to flex, and then the justified content, as we know, this is concerned with the alignment along the x-axis, right? The horizontal alignment, this one. So that is center, and then the vertical alignment is this one. That's also center. Is gonna put it in the center. That's how I put it in the center, right? This one here. But it's intuitive, right? Now that you understand what is going on, you can understand how you can center anything, right? Just these 3 lines of code. But don't worry about it. If you forget, you can Google it, but they will give you this code and you just put it at the right place and then it will center it for you. Okay, so let's look at the next items. I think we are almost there, guys. So align content is done, align. So the last property for the parent, the container, is the flex direction. That is the last property for the parent. So I'll pick this, copy, paste it, just paste it in here. Oh, my computer is pretty slow today, but so the last property for the parent is this flex direction. We should have done that even first, but it doesn't matter. We could do it anytime. So flex direction, the direction of the flex container, right? Right now, if you look at what we have, you can see the direction is going this way. Row, this is a row direction. But there is a column. You can do everything in the direction of column also. So let's just look at what the flex direction is. If I copy it, over here. So it takes 4 properties. So it actually specifies the direction of the main axis and the cross axis. So you can see the x-axis by default is the horizontal line. Okay, it goes this way. So the direction is going towards the row. Then this is the columns, right? You guys, if you look at a table, this is a table, rows and columns, right? So this direction, we call it row direction. And then if you go this way, column direction. So by default, if you set any container, I can get rid of this. We don't really care about them. Don't want you to confuse you guys. Yeah. If we do this, what do we got for viewing browser? Okay, so we don't also care about the stretch, but let me remove it. If we don't care about it, we can remove it. So let's bring the flex direction. So this one has a default value, which is the row. Row means that the main axis should be the row like this, which is the default direction. So nothing is going to change if I do this. So you can see how these items at the beginning, they were stuck on top of each other. And then suddenly they all came along the same line. They came on the main axis. So because the default behavior for flex direction is a row. Let's make it column and see. Column means that my flex container, let the main axis be the column, right? In other words, let the y-axis, let it be my x-axis, something like that. So now if I set the flex direction to column, suddenly all of this will change, the direction will change like this. Right? And right now you guys don't see the use of this, but let's assume that this flex item, the width is taking 100% of the spaces in the container. Then this order of things will make a lot of sense. So let me make this one, say, instead of 100, I'm going to make it 98%. And maybe somebody can tell me why I made it 98. You see? Actually, let me make it, probably should be 98. So why did I make it 98 and not 100? The width. It's because of the margin, right? So margin 1%, we are taking a margin of 1% on both sides. Okay. So guys, this is also important. Look, I made it 98, but you can see that it is not properly spaced out. It's because the math that we've done doesn't add up. Why? Because there is the border. The border is also taking some space. So let me make this border percent also 1%. So then we can do the proper math. If the border is taking 1% of the width, margin is taking 1%, So how many? So there's one border here, there's another border here. So that's 2%, right? It's gone. Then the border will take one and then take one here. That's 4. So how many percentages do I have left? I have 96 that I can take for the width. It's just very simple math. Don't be scared, friends. Now when we do this, let's see, what do we get? Do we get something useful? And we get something nasty. So is it that this border cannot take percentage? I believe it will be shocking. Why would the border not take percentages, right? So it's just 1%. So percentages here is now working. Let's just use the pixel. So let me just use 1 pixel. Because now I don't know how much 1% of this space, I don't know what it is in pixels. So clearly it's not exactly 1% is not exactly 1 pixel. That is why it's not exactly 1% of the space. That is why the item is not balanced in the container, but it's okay. It looks like this border doesn't take percentages. It's very strange, really strange, guys. Okay. Yeah, if you want this to be take 100% of the whole container, then you see the flex direction of column makes sense, right? Especially on a mobile phone. Mobile phones, you know, the weight is not that much. So whatever content you have there, you want it to take a whole space. So you're gonna need a flex direction of column. So let's do the last property, the last value, last but one is what column reverse. So along this column, you want to reverse it. Let's see how that behaves. Sometimes people may need to do this. So once you put it in the column, it begins from the top down, and then column reverse will begin from the bottom up, bottom of the container up. Sometimes this is what you want to do. Even though you would most likely never do this at all. So I'm gonna make this back. I want to make it 30% as it used to be, because I want to demonstrate the row like this. Let's make this bigger. And so if we do the row reverse, you can see that item 1 is now at the end of the line. Let me take the reverse. Let's see. The default behavior is row. So item 1 begins from here to the end. And then if you make it reverse, row reverse, it means you want to start from the bottom here up. So the item 4 will come first. Like that, 4, 3, 2. Okay. But there's something that you guys don't see. Another strange thing that I found. Let me make this an absolute value, say 20 pixels, so that I can demonstrate this. I don't know if it's useful or not, but say 20 pixels. If you make it 20 pixels, and then we make this just row. If you just want to use a row, don't set it, because that's the default behavior. Nothing will happen. You can see I make this one absolute width. Let me make it like 40, so that so it's just taking the amount of space it needs, and that's it. Yeah, 40 pixels. You can see all these empty spaces are left. Now, if you make it row reverse, those empty spaces will come to the front. And sometimes maybe that will be useful for whatever you are doing. So you see, the concepts are plenty, but you need just a few of them to accomplish what you want to do. Okay. So I just want to show you that the empty space will still be at the front if we use absolute units like this. Okay, so now we are done with the container level units. Only 4 units are left, and they're going to be very fast. Okay, please don't. I think we are coming. The time is, we have about 15 minutes to end the class. So So now I'm going to demonstrate align self. This is a item level, flex item level property. So what is the best way for me to really demonstrate this? I'm just thinking here. Let me make, okay, let's copy this item. Copy this. Probably work with different. Let's just copy the flex items and then paste it. Flex item, paste it. Okay. Rename to align self. Yeah. So okay. Let's remove this heights. We don't really care about this heights now. You can see that everything that we've done right now just binds on all the items in the container. So let's see what this is. This is just what this takes. Okay, so we have this. Let me remove these ones. We have this here. We want to look at the align self property, what it does. So it is an item level property, which means that you have to pick one of the items over here, and then you can apply that. You can apply that property to it. So align self. If you do it at the parent level, it's not going to work. So just do this. So it does very similar things to the align items. See, it's the same as the align items, but this time we are just aligning one item at a time. We are just aligning a particular flex item. So the values are the same: start, end, center, start, and flex end. I just kind of showed some different ways of doing it. So I am actually picking the box number 2 from here. Box number 2, I want to align this one center. So just put center here. Everything else will remain where they are, but the item number 2 is expected to move out. Let's get rid of this stretch. I hope the stretch is not overriding it. It's not overriding it. Stretch is not overriding it. So why? Let's see. Hope we don't run into difficulties. Okay, so what's this? Why? So this didn't seem to work. A little strange. Align south, box number 2. Oh, good. Look at what I did. Can you guys see the typo? Can you see the typo? I added S to it. And now we have this, right? Sometimes you just want to align only one of the items, not all of them. So you can use this. Of course, you can also put it at the end. That is flex end. Flex end. Flex end. You put it at the end. And, all the other properties, right? So the point is that this is an item level property. Is that okay? Is that clear? We can move to the next one, which is, so we have 3 more to go. Align self. You can experiment with the values, right? Start, end, wherever, whatever behavior you want. You can set, like if you want to demonstrate this one here, on the parent level, you can set, say, align items on the parent level, you can set it to flex end, so that all the items are going to be put at the end. And then you can put the one that you want, you can put it at the beginning. Align self here, flex start. Okay. So everything else is positioned at the end, and then the number 2 will be at the start, right? So you can play with it. It all depends on what you want, right? The parent level binds on everything, but guess what? Align items is different from align cell. So yeah, that's it. Now let's move to the next one. I love this one. This is very important. The flex grow property. They are very important. And I will just use this one to demonstrate that. Flex grow. So rename flex grow. It's very, very important, this one. Okay, so let me remove. Of course, that is also going to be an item level property. And this one has to bind on all of them. This one has to bind on all of them. So let's just type flex grow. Or maybe I should explain what it does also, guys, sorry, before we use it. This one, I have to explain what it does. Let's go back here. So you can see the way the flex items were increasing in size when I was increasing the size of the weight of the container. Let's demonstrate. You see, as I increase the weight of the container, you can see that the size is also increasing. And as I shrink it, the size is decreasing. So the flex grow allows you to control the way the items are increasing in size. You can say that I want this one to increase twice as much as the other items. So that if these items increase 1 inch, this is going to increase 2 inches. So the grow is what allows you to control that. See, they are all increasing at the same rate here. So the flex grow property by default is 1 for all these items. But if I increase it to say 5 for this one here, then this is gonna increase 5 times as much as these ones. So if this increase 1, these ones are increasing 1 unit, this is gonna increase 5 units. So that is the grow property. So grow, the rate at which they increase. Now, what about the rate at which they decrease? You see, they are also decreasing together. They decrease in size by the same percentage. So there is another one called the flex shrink. The flex shrink allows you to control the way they shrink. The shrinking is happening. So you can say, if this one shrinks 5 inches, I want this one to shrink 25 inches. If this shrinks 1 inch or 1 pixel, I want this one to shrink, say, 5 pixels. So the shrink allows you to set that, okay? So now let's demonstrate this here. So let's set it for all the boxes. So box 1. So it takes a number, right? So the default behavior is 1. Let's set it on the item. Item 1 here. Guys, we're almost at the end. So let's copy the 2. Sorry. Okay, 1 second. Let's copy the 2. Okay, let's put that here. So this will be 3 and then 4. Okay, so now if I save this, so align items, everything here looks good. Let's just refresh that and view this in browser. So this is what we have. I've got this is at the end. Let me make it center the alignment. Just want to center the alignment. It's easier to see it that way. Okay, so they all have the flex grow number of 1, which is the default behavior. You can see they all increase at the same rate. Now see what I'm going to do. I want to make the flex grow of box number 1 take 8 8, the number of 8. So it means this is going to increase 8 times as much as the rest. So now let's see. As I move, I have to refresh. You always have to refresh. Now see. Are they still moving the same way? Looks like they are moving the same way. And it's because we are using percentages to set this. Let me make this absolute dimensions. Give it, say, 45 pixels each. 45 pixels each. Okay. Now you can see what is happening. See, they all have the same dimensions. Let me take this back to 1. But right now they are all supposed to be 45. See, they are all 45 pixels. So, okay. So now let's change this one to 8. All that I'm saying is that I want this one, if the others are increasing 1 pixel, I want the first one to increase 8 pixels. So see. So it was working before. Why did it suddenly stop working? What's happening? So it was working before, right? And then it stopped. So that's what we see now. It's working. It's working again. I'm a little surprised what is happening here, right? So, well, at least it's working now, so we can. Okay. So as you can see, they are both increasing, but one is increasing a lot more crazy than the others. Okay, let's make this 1, change this to 1. And then, I mean, you can adjust it. This one can increase 3 times as much, and then you can make this one increase 8 times as much. It's all up to you. It all depends on the behavior that you want. Oh, you have to refresh for the changes. Yep. So now you can see that the third box has a bigger length, and then the second bigger length is what? The first. So this allows you to control the size of the boxes. It's very, very important. And most importantly, as the size of the page is changing, you see? Yeah, so let's do the shrink. Let's do the shrink because of our time. So the shrink is, okay, so I have one question here before we do the shrink, guys. Instead of typing all of them like this, okay, so we have to do them like this because we are giving them different values. If the values were the same, we could have even used this one. Right? But the values are different, so you have to type all of them differently. So now let's do the shrink. We already talked about what the shrink does, so I'll just demonstrate it. Shrink is the opposite of the grow, just the opposite. Okay. So my computer is kind of slow right now. I'm just very uncomfortable. Okay, so what this is gonna do, right? Who can tell me what this is gonna do? If you want me to tell you too, you can tell me.
It's gonna make it reduce in size.
It's gonna make what reduce in size?
So box 2 and 4 are going to be the same size.
Good, that's true. They're gonna reduce together. Okay, at the same rate.
So box 3 will reduce faster than all of them.
Are you sure? Oh yeah, that's right. That's true. 3 is 8. Bingo. Yes. Reduce.
And 1 will be the second to reduce, and 2 and 4 will be the same size.
Right. Right.
Yes.
That's right. That's exactly it. So now let's see. So for this one, let's increase the width so that we can have something to look at. So, say 1, let me make it 90. I can see. But there is no reduction happening because the width is too small. So like this is the width as it is, this is the width. Okay, so once you cross the width, it will not grow anymore. So now let's reduce it. Let's reduce the screen and see what happens. You can see the 3 is already very slim. And then 1 is also very slim. And then, 2 and 4 are the same. Exactly as we said. So it's just a shrinking, and it's very useful. You can use it to control a lot of things, right? Sometimes you want that behavior. Okay, so now we only have how many left? Just one property left, which is the order. So the order is also, right now the order, you can see box 1 is the first, 2, second, 3, third, and that. So you want to change the order, you can set the order property. Order. And the behavior of this order means that the bigger the number, the farther away it goes, right? So it increases, the bigger the number, the farther away it goes. That's the whole logic. Remember, these numbers don't have pixels. It's just a number, an integer value. So what I'm saying is that right now they all have values of 1. So the order will stay the same. None of them is taking priority. Some of these things you would never need, but but in case you ever do, you can do it. So they all have the same value, so the order stays the same. So unfortunately, I'm using the same file to demonstrate this. So if I make item 1 get the value of 2, for instance, but always the bigger number, the item with the bigger number will come to the last position. So right now, item 1 is box 1 has the bigger number. So if I refresh, see where box 1 has come. It's come to the end over there. So you can use this to control the order of the items. So if I give a negative number, if I make, okay, let me ask this question. If I make box item 4 negative 2, what do you think will happen? The smaller the number, the closer it comes to the front of the line. Right. So negative right now is the smallest number here. So it will still work. You can put a negative there. So the point I'm making is that this one can take negative numbers also. All that matters is that, it will look at the smallest number and put it first in that order. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, if you look at the bottom of my page, there is something called, we have gone through all the properties, and I'm going to create a section on my website to tell you the parent level properties and then the children or the item level property so that you can easily see them. And if you want to practice, I have the code here, the behavior that you should have. You can go through it. So this one here is the shorthand. Okay, sometimes you can combine multiple of the properties at once and use it, because you can just say flex. If you just say flex, it allows you to set the grow, the rate of the grow. It allows you to set the shrink, and then the base. So the basis, we didn't talk about the basis. Sorry, flex basis. It's very easy. Flex basis allows you to set the minimum width of the bars. So like over here, flex basis will just set the minimum width of the bars. See here, box number 1, we can set flex basis of, see, everything here has 95 pixels. We can make this one 150 pixels, just so you can see some difference. So it says that from the beginning, I want box one to have a width of 150 pixels. And then once you start shrinking and increasing the page, the rest of everything else can flow. So if I refresh this, you see all of them are at their normal size right now. This is the beginning phase. And item one is having 150 pixels. But you can see item one, we positioned it at order 2. That is why it is over here. So if this is confusing you guys, I can remove the order. Or should I leave the order there?
No, it's fine.
Fine, okay. So I will leave the order. So that's what the basis does. It allows you to set the basic width of the box. You can do it for any box you want. Like for box number 4, I can say, let the beginning size be 180 pixels. And if you refresh, this item should become slightly bigger. Yeah. And then, of course, as you do the shrinking, it will take different size. And as it grows, it will be different. So that is the flex basis. So what I was saying is that there is a shorthand. Like right now, you can see we have set all the 3 values like this. It's too much work writing all of them. You can use a shorthand and say flex. You just enter flex. Then in one line of code, you can set the grow. What is the rate at which we want this one to grow? Say 3 times faster than the rest. And then the next one is the shrink. What is the rate at which we want this to shrink? If you want it to shrink, say 4 times faster, then you put 4. And then the last one is the basis, flex basics. So we can say 150 pixels. 150 pixels. Yeah. So in just this one line of code, you have set all the 3 properties. So we call this one shorthand properties. And if you refresh the page, everything will work exactly as this should. So box 1, which is this one here now, takes 3 times, grows 3 times faster, reduces 4 times, and then the width is 150. If we try to grow, you can see that is still happening. The growth is happening, and the shrinkage is also happening. It's shrinking faster than everything on the page. But that's the shorthand, right? Everything is there. Now there are 3 shorthands that I want to show you. I mean, these are all there is that I was able to find. So after this, you guys can do anything with the flex, right? The flex is a big thing. You can call it like, it's almost like a library, but it's not a library. It's an architecture, right? It's just, it does its own thing. And it allows you to do a lot of things very fast. So the other one here is the flex flow. So this one, the flow, the first value is the flex direction or direction. And the last value is the flex wrap. So the direction can be row, and then the wrap can be wrap or no wrap, whatever. So guys, what level do you think this will be? This shorthand? Is it container level or item level? See, flex direction and then flex wrap. So these are container level, right? So these are container level properties, right? If you want to control the wrapping of items in the container, right? So this is a container level property, and you can just set it here. Again, it's a shorthand. It allows you to say, oh, I want it to be column. The direction should be column, and then I want, what is the last property? The last one is wrap. I want it no wrap. Now let me do wrap also, because the way the wrap works when the direction is column is beautiful, but it's a little tricky. So you can just do that in one line of code. And if we inspect it in the browser, I mean, it's already there, so we can just refresh. We have this. So it goes like this to the end, and then it comes back up. Guys, let me remove the order because it's just confusing me also. so that we can see. Just, I will not remove it, I'll make it one so that they all have the same order. So item 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the basis, the height, we already set in the width and all of that stuff. So and then you see the column, it should have kept going down, but because we set a wrap to it, it comes this way. So you just have to look at it and just think a little bit, why is this happening? So I'm gonna say no wrap, and then you guys will see the behavior. Yeah, so it will just keep going down. It will just compress the items. Okay, that's that. And then the last one. Okay, Vada, that's okay. And the last one is the last one is going to be place content. Place content is the last property. Place content. It allows you to set the alignment and the justification. So align content and then justify content. I mean, this align content, you need to have the wrap on before that works. And then, so here we have the wrap. Let's make this wrap. And I'll leave the display as column. I mean, although if the display is column, it's hard for you guys to visualize what is happening. Guys, if you guys can become experts in CSS, it would be interesting, right? All these things. So, it needs this here. This content. So align content, I can say center. And then justify content, I can say flex start. Okay, let's see. If I do this, I'm expecting all of this to move to the start over here. And then if there was enough space, then we will see this in the middle. Let me increase the height and see if there will be space. So right now, our height is a percentage value. That's why we don't have space. So let me just make this row so you can just visualize. Row. Okay. So now we have this. Place content is, vertically aligning the contents along the cross axis or the y-axis. And then the flex start is putting them at the start of the container. But because this is also dynamically increasing the width. So even though it is at the start of the page, you cannot really see it. Let me change the width. So this width is that, but see the width of this box 1. Let me make box 1 width 50 and then 80 and see something. Again, if it's increasing, it's going to increase for it because we set it over here at the basis. So let me remove this, and then you don't have to set all the properties. You can just set some and leave some out. Let's see what this does. Okay, now let's see. Even this is still, why is that? They grow. So these properties, they are dynamic in nature. That's the issue. Let's remove them. We don't need them for now, for this one. Let's remove them. So I just want to demonstrate the place content, that's all. Let's see, remove them, save. And let's see. Yeah, so you can see what is happening now. So place content, this is the align content, is putting them in the middle vertically. And then the justify content is forcing them at the beginning of the line. And if you change this one to like, If I change, I want you guys to tell me what's gonna happen. This is the last thing we are doing anyways. If I change this one to start, align content to start, what's gonna happen? This is the last thing. So the alignment vertically, I'm saying that do it at the start of the vertical, the cross axis. So
the top.
it's gonna move this like this to the top. And that's it. Now, if I change this, the align content, that's you are aligning the items on the main axis. I'm putting it to the center. What do you think is going to happen?
It's gonna go to the middle.
Everything will be in the middle. Yes, that's right, like this. So that's how you just play with it to get what you want, you know, stuff like this. This is a powerful tool, man, and you can do a lot of things with it. The things you can do with this is just in your head. It's your own creativity that will decide how far you can go with this. So guys, I showed you all the properties of the Flex container. And if you want the notes, you can go to our site and then go to CSS and go through it. I encourage you to practice them. I encourage you to watch the video and practice them. But the best way you can practice is to do a project using it, right? So tomorrow, we're gonna try to do this together. And this is just the Flex. Everything here, we're gonna use the Flex to build it. So it will be very interesting. At this point, I think you all have come of age as far as CSS is concerned. You have all the tools, man. It's only the grid. The grid is just a small extension to the Flex. And, you know, we're going to do that next week. Then we're probably going to be done with CSS. And we're going to move to JavaScript. Yeah. Okay, so do you have any questions for me?
No.
Do you guys want a homework or not?
Sure.
Okay, so can you try to build this section using the Flex? We did this before. Try to build it using the Flex container and a Flex display, and then try to use the properties and see if you can space them out like this. Okay.
Okay.
If you want, you can add this section to it. You do only this side first, and then add another div in it. So this will have 3 divs. Add a 4th one, and then try to let the image, instead of the image being at the top here, let it be on the side. And look at this. It looks like there is another div in here. Right. So, so like one of the divs is gonna have another div inside it. So you're gonna have the 4th div like this. You may have to put 2 divs in here. You may have to put 2 divs. I'm not saying that is the only way to do it, but that's one of the ways you can do it. Sorry. Div, tab. So you put 1 div here, put your image here. Then put another div, and maybe you don't have to do it like this. You can be creative, right? Just look at it and be creative, right? So I'm thinking that this is how the layout is going to be for this one, but you can figure it out. Yeah. So again, if the top is gonna be difficult, at least try to do this 3. Do the bottom. So it's just one container containing all of this, and then just put space between, and also get some images, and you know, you have your data here. So yeah. Is this something that you guys can try?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if we still have Ibrahim, but if you are able to do it, that's fine. If not, don't worry. But at some point, you're gonna have to build something and show me. Maybe after tomorrow, after we do all this, I'm gonna encourage you guys to watch the video and do it by yourself. This will be too much for you guys to just do it. But we'll see what we can do. And do this and show me, right? We'll do it together, and then you just gonna watch the video and also do exactly that. You're gonna get stuck, you can call me, and then we'll take a look. But
Okay.
you have this. It's gonna give you a chance to just practice also, right? But I will wait for you guys to finish it before we move to the JavaScript. Just to make sure that you've at least done something. Yeah. So that being said, we can end the class over here if there are no other questions. Thank you all for coming. The video will be available. You can watch it if you need a refresher on this. And I also encourage you to do your own thing. You don't have to do this one. You can find any project and use the Flex properties to do it and just show it to me, right? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're all welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.